So there is an interesting story about Baleba this morning. It's coming in from, I can't get the name right of this, Sacha Tavalieri. He's basically saying that Bayern Munich have Baleba on their shortlist, but the player's priority is a move to Manchester United. I've got to be honest here. I'm in a good mood this morning. I think hopefully we're going to win. It's the start of another week. The Christmas tree is up. There's no reason to be in a bad mood. But honestly, every time I hear the word Baleba at the moment, my stomach does turn. Savage says, please send him to Bayern. I don't like this deal at all. And I think we're going to do it. I think we're going to do it because it's easy. And I think we're going to do it because he's desperate to sign for us. And I don't rate this player. I really don't. I do not rate him. I think he's a massive red flag, and I think United are going to do what United do and make a big mistake here. Somebody was saying last week in the chat he's a flop before he signed. And you know what? I sort of understand what they mean, because you look at Ugarte, some people turned on Ugarte very, very quickly. Now, they may not be wrong, but they didn't give him a chance. And that sort of probably does. I need to just dwell on that for a moment, because that probably doesn't make sense. I didn't like the way some people were giving Ugarte nicknames and saying he was shit from day one. Now, he may well end up being that, but surely there has to be a period of, patience and time. I think that nobody's right in football. And if you get a section of the fan base before a player's even here going, he's shit, they're up against it from the start. And I think with Baleba, I think some people will see him as a flop before he's even signed. I certainly don't think he's the exciting signing he might have been in the summer. And there's not, it's a tired topic, but I don't trust United's recruitment. I don't trust Wilcox. I don't trust the board's recruitment strategy. And I don't trust Baleba. And Brighton won't sell him cheap either. I just think this is one of those deals where you're convinced it's the right person, but everyone else is saying no. It's like your mate who's going out with someone and you know that they're not good for you, and they're like, no, I'm in love with them. And you're like, all right, crack on. You do it. I really hope it works out. I really do. I really hope it works out. But I'm not. And look, there's people in the chat who really like Baleba. I think he's got a bit of a Player FC vibe about him already. But the reality is, across this season for Brighton, he's been predominantly crap. He has had some games where he's been okay, but I'd say 80% of his games he's been crap. Now, this is your audition. You didn't get your move to Man United, so this is your point to prove, and your point to prove is 80% of the time you're not switched on. I just think, apparently we've got a no dickheads policy. I'm not saying he's a dickhead, but I don't think he's got the right head. I don't think he's got the right mentality. I think he's shown, an inconsistency that shouldn't be happening. And I just think that there are too many red flags with Baleba. But I do think United will do that deal. And we're already being told that, the data. Well, at the end of the day, when I look at Baleba, I don't really care about his performances. I don't really care about what people think. We've looked at him, we've put it through the computer, and everything said in 2025 summer that he will be one of the best midfielders in the world. And we've just stopped looking at the stats ever since then. And that's incredible. That's incredible. All your data from last season has to be merged with the data from this season. You can't just go, in August, everything was okay. How many people had situations in August that aren't the situation in December? So, I don't.